Ladies and gentlemen, exactly the opposite of what took place from impeachment is taking place. Independents are moving away from it. Democrats really aren't galvanized by this. It's actually the Republican Party, well, specifically Trump supporters within the Republican Party, which are not around 90% of Republicans, like Trump, have a favorable view of Trump. But the biggest miscalculation, essentially a nightmare of Democrats. The Washington Post, McConnell's vow to total coordination with White House on Senate impeachment trial angers Democrats. Total coordination. See, what they were thinking of, Democrats, every time they accused Trump of working with Russia to hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, thus giving Clinton the popular vote, but losing swing states because of Facebook ads that nobody saw. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz being forced to resign, essentially in disgrace for cheating one of their own candidates who was never fair and neutral. Democrats in media, they're always in their world, they're always assuming that the allegations against Trump are enough to sway good, decent Republicans, even though when it's McCain or Romney, they want nothing to do with the establishment Republicans. They'll go at establishment Republicans with everything they have. The notion that Trump is not a normal Republican is absurd. I remember, I've been a lifelong Democrat up until recently. Now I'm a Trump supporter. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, and according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. They go after anyone who doesn't fall in line. So they went after Bernie Sanders, they cheated him, but the same things they did to Bernie Sanders, they've tried to do to President Trump. The difference being Trump fights back. Bernie Sanders never fought back. But anyway, let's continue. Members of the House Judiciary Committee spent barely 7 minutes Friday forwarding articles of impeachment for a floor vote next week, but many of the panel's members already had their minds on the Senate trial ahead. And the man who holds immense sway over how it will proceed, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. In a late Thursday interview with Fox News host Sean Hannity, McConnell all but guaranteed a Trump acquittal, saying there was zero chance the president would be removed from office, and promised total coordination with House and Trump's defense team. This case is so incredibly weak coming from the House. We all know how it's going to end. So, McConnell, if there was some kind of wrongdoing, you would have more of a political or diplomatic answer from McConnell. He'd say, well, we have to go through the procedures, and I'm confident that the president will stay. No, this is so absurd. The phone conversation where even Marie Yovanovitch, the impeachment witness, former ambassador, said during President Obama's administration, she was given talking points regarding Hunter Biden. President Zelensky himself stated there was no leverage. The Ukrainians got the money, and they cannot prove that a momentary lapse in them getting the funding was due to Trump fearing Biden. Because guess what? Nobody fears Biden. The No Malarkey bus tour has been a hilarious travesty. It's going to be Clinton versus Trump, like I predicted in 2017 in my Huffington Post article, Clinton 2020 is a reality, get ready for 8 years of Trump. But here, those remarks infuriated House Democrats as they voted to advance the fourth ever set of presidential impeachment articles towards Senate trial. They said the fix appeared to be in. Yeah, the fix is in. We want to know why? Because they tried to implement a fix of their own. Actually, there's no fix. Democrats, the way Democrats work is they say, no, this Supreme Court justice, don't you know, 40 years ago, in a galaxy far, far away, something happened. Something happened. We don't know where, but something happened. We have no witnesses, but something happened. And this person can't serve because something happened with no witnesses in a location that nobody knows. But something happened. Oh, what? The FBI didn't take a time machine back to find out what happened? Oh, this is rigged. Everything that, whenever their fantasy world doesn't correlate to reality, and then, I mean, when it comes to them, something happened, who cares? You can't prove anything. But when their fantasy world doesn't correlate to reality, the fix is in. Meanwhile, 17 inaccuracies in 3 different applications where people are actually falsifying information, and then they're saying, well, they found no evidence. Trump's theories are completely obliterated. That's not Trump's theory. Trump's theory is not that Michael Horowitz didn't find documentary and testimonial evidence of institutional bias. So therefore, that is the documentary evidence. The inaccuracies are the documentary evidence. Well, it was just a mistake. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, that is the documentary evidence. The testimonial evidence are the text messages. But guess what? We'll stop Trump. But guess what? Durham already stated he has, based on the evidence he's collected, he used that phrase. He used those types of words. It's an ongoing investigation. They had an ongoing investigation, and it was based on nothing. This is based on actually the FBI and others utilizing the United States government against an incoming candidate. They know that. Democrats know this too. You think Democrats don't know exactly what they're doing? I'm telling you they do. They know, and they've been coy, and they've enjoyed this gleeful kind of enjoyment. I would ask people on the left, when I was on the left, and be like, this is nonsense, right? And they would say to me, well, we have to wait. It's an ongoing investigation. That's going to be an ongoing investigation when Trump finds out that you tried to railroad him. Because the things that I harp on and obsess over, you can multiply them times 5 million. Then times 500 million. And that's President Trump. But he's able to compartmentalize, and he's probably able to obsess over things and then just do other things as well. But he doesn't, I'm telling you, when Trump goes to bed, Clapper, get you yet. So it's not good, especially when you have a president going 2 terms. And now check out my segment prior to this one. He's like, yeah, I'll go 3 terms. Democrats are probably like, no. He's like, yeah, I'll go 3 terms. No problem. What's the problem? I'll go 3 terms. He can't go 3 terms because the 22nd Amendment. But here, I think it's pretty bad for who is essentially the foreman of a jury to announce the verdict. Democratic representative. The idea that he is working like that is pretty shameful. No, it's not. What's shameful is that they're going after Trump over a phone conversation where they cannot prove. There is no evidence. Okay. The DNC emails warped, and the campaign emails absolutely warped the minds of Democrats and media. They said, wait, the truth about us was published? The truth about us? Well, then the hearsay about Trump will be just like the truth about us. And so they say, well, the intelligence community has confirmed that Russia wanted to hack the DNC. The intelligence community in the ODNI and DHS reports state with confidence, not certainty. They are not certain. The notion that Russia would hack the DNC to inform the country, the whole thing, and not hack Clinton's servers is absurd. Her servers were running with top secret intelligence and special access program intelligence, and were protected by Microsoft Exchange software. So you do the math on that one. But Putin's like, no, why do I want top secret intelligence? No. Special access program intelligence? No. Deborah Wasserman Schultz, that's the real deal, Holyfield. That's what I want. Quote, he's working hand in hand with the White House, the president's attorney, and we are supposed to expect him to manage a fair and impartial impeachment inquiry. What's the impartial? This is hilarious. It's only impartial if you agree with them. If you don't agree with them, then it's not impartial. This whole thing is ridiculous. It's not a high crime and misdemeanor. You'd have to also prove, in addition to the momentary lapse in funding to the Ukraine, that there were no conflicts of interest, and that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden shouldn't have been investigated, which they should have. Because even Marie Yovanovitch was given talking points from President Obama's administration because they knew there were conflicts of interest there. And Biden is on video saying, yeah, you're not going to get this billion unless you fire a prosecutor. The prosecutor was looking at the company, the corporation, funneling millions into Hunter Biden's account. Then the rebuttal to that is, well, the Ukraine is corrupt. They have a corrupt government. Well, that's what Trump said. And why he wanted to put a hold on the money to see if it was appropriate at that juncture. So Democrats can say, well, he fired the prosecutor because there was corruption. But Trump can't say, oh, well, yeah, that window of time was because we wanted to see how corrupt the government was for them to receive the money, whatever. There's no plausible deniability for Trump. There's only plausible deniability for Democrats. Yet they cannot prove. There are no emails. There's no directive. There's no nothing. There's nothing written in paper. There's nothing that they can prove to, where it's always like, oh, well, this person was listening in on a phone call. Then you have the genius on CNN saying, hey, what's the matter? I can't hear you. Oh, okay. It's pretty unbelievable. Their treachery, they don't get it. They're like, what? We tried to frame him. Why isn't everybody on board? It's like, yeah, because you tried to frame him. And then this is a post-truth moment. Nobody believes in American institutions anymore. No, nobody. You don't have to believe in the FBI's top brass. You don't have to believe. Just do some research on what happened in Boston with the FBI agents there, John Connolly and others. Do some research. Very simple. He's serving 40 years in prison. He'll come out when he's 98. He was actually tipping off criminals on how to... I don't even want to go into it because it's against YouTube policies. The FBI, some of the FBI agents in Boston, the higher level ones in the 80s and 90s, or the 70s and 80s, I should say, some of them were even just as bad or even worse than people committing the crimes. So, and they're in the big house now. So look up John Connolly and the other top-level federal officials in Boston. John Durham put John Connolly in prison. So it wasn't just Boston. It was other cities too. Okay, J. Edgar Hoover is definitely. We can go in through the litany of what he did. You have John Kasich on CNN. There's our institutions. John Brennan lied under oath. This is a fact. You had John Brennan lied under oath. You had James Clapper lying under oath. You have, my God, our institutions, okay. Bush's foreign policies were based on faulty intelligence. Bush's foreign policy was based on faulty intelligence. We sent Americans away from their families. And they came back, sacrificing so much for us based on faulty, and thousands never came back. And based on faulty intelligence. And then Bush and Clinton and Cheney and Rumsfeld and the average Democrats said, oopsie, shrug shoulders. But if Trump tweets, it's like, this is the end of democracy. No, wait a second. The intelligence community was not only wrong, they were the reason why Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld not only sent Americans off, so we have hundreds of thousands of traumatic brain injuries, we have hundreds and thousands of people who suffer from PTSD, who have night terrors every night, who saw their friends, lose their lives, who fought for us, who sacrificed for us, and their families did, and their sons, their daughters, their fathers, their mothers, their husbands, their wives, they sacrificed for us. our American soldiers, men and women. And the rebuttal is the intelligence community. And now that same intelligence community is talking about Facebook ads? Facebook ads? Really? Really? So Bush's intelligence failures weren't enough to notify the public that, they don't know what they're talking about half the time. From the Bay of Pigs to the Gulf of Tonkin to they didn't know about the fall of the Berlin Wall. They couldn't even predict the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now we see it's like, it was obvious, but no, they couldn't predict it. It might not have been obvious, but at least the economic, debacle in the Soviet Union, you could have at least seen it. No, they didn't see it. Okay. I mean, intelligence failures from Vietnam to Facebook ads to Bush's foreign policy. And then the Democrats are devoting their lives to intelligence assessments that aren't even certain. And then they have this intelligence operative that said, well, I heard that Trump was trying to engage in quid pro quo. Not I know with certainty, I heard. And then he was linked to Biden. So, I mean, it's such an overt scam. It's such what do they call it, shampeachment? It's just hilarious. The Thanos ad elicited more emotion than the articles of impeachment, which is so hilarious. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. To my UK viewers, congratulations on a fantastic election. It's going to foreshadow Trump 2020. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so very, very much. And when people say, how could Boris Johnson win? Well, you know what? They say, how could President Trump win? The big thing is a scaled-back U.S. foreign policy and an emphasis on autonomy. Give me your thoughts below.